Today's presentation will have three main elements. The first one is the vision. I will talk briefly about the vision. You already have the blog post. It's my first Substack blog post, so I hope you will like it and share it, whatever, but you can see the whole manifesto there. The second part is the business case, because actually it's not just an idea I just have in mind from yesterday. It's something I've been working for, let's say, 5-6 years or something. So there's a solid foundation behind. The main part will be the business case, because the business case for Japan is the same as like the business case abroad and what we achieved and so on. And the last part will be Japan. What we managed to achieve, where are we currently, what are the next steps, which are the opportunities I see here, and how this might work one way or another. In general, the main concept is that when we were younger, we were playing around the corner, we were playing like kids, and it was really fun because we wasn't alone. And we have some come and go, we work in teams, and later that it became like online games, and it was nice. We were waiting to go outside and so on, and the whole multiplayer game was kind of fun, and it makes us sometimes learn more, get some new skills and so on. In general, currently the way the life we are having is, it's supposed to be something like a team working in most of the cases, but at the end of the day, most of the times we are looking for our own goals, our family goals, and not the one like the whole neighborhood, the whole city, or the planet. It's difficult to connect with different. And from another perspective, the whole travel industry currently is kind of centralized. So we are going in the nature because of the nature very often, but we are not bringing back anything to the nature. Usually we are not bringing back anything to the community, and usually the person responsible for the whole hotel or resort is one person. So we have one entity, one organization which is owning everything and somehow profiting from this, which makes this type of investments almost difficult, very, very difficult for us. So our main concept is that we are enabling more people to create spaces, to create resorts together, and we're splitting the revenue somehow, even though we keep the responsibility in one place. In the blog post, you will see more details about the 10 principles, what is behind them, but in general, we are giving the opportunity for everyone to be part of this, but with clear rules. So we are in charge of delivering the milestones. We are doing this in, let's say, as sustainable concept as it makes business sense, not at all cost. And yeah, we are creating the whole spaces which are more accessible. And the goal is to create spaces which gives the people the opportunity to somehow have a growth space, not only place for the weekend to sleep, but more like place where they can go to thrive, to meet nice people, to finish their book, and to have some type of, let's say, second home, or this type of places in the nature, more accessible way. This is the short story. And around this whole concept, we built the Nextribe step by step. The main problems we are addressing are that currently a lot of people want to have some place in the nature, but it's super difficult to have it. It takes time, money, resources, connections. Usually it takes a lot of time, and it's very difficult to have it. This type of investment, if you're talking for hospitality, not just personal use, usually it costs around 200K minimum to have something decent which could be rented out and it's a good location and so on. So the barrier is kind of high. And on the other hand, the real estate assets around the world are having lower and lower return on investment. I mean, classical real estate, apartments, studios in the big cities, which is also connected with another problem, Airbnb ban. Almost all countries around the world have a ban for these places in the cities. Even Japan, they have 180 cities, but some municipalities can limit this to 60 days per year. So the problem in the main locations is growing more and more, and a lot of people are looking for alternative, let's say, alternative investment and alternative solution. Now, our concept is that currently people are spending around 80% of the time in the cities. Sometimes more, sometimes less, and they're looking for their time to go out, looking for the summer vacation, for the Christmas vacation, just to go out and to breathe, to hear their thoughts. and the cities are, in most of the cases, becoming more hectic, difficult to breathe, and so on, excluding some amazing examples, but in general, they are becoming more and more unpleasant and unhealthy for families and young people. And our goal is to create spaces which are good enough for people to stay mainly there, to stay 80% in the nature and 20% in the city, which is a huge challenge. It's more like, it's our vision, and it will take us 3 to 5 years to reach that point, because we need to solve challenges like, as we already know, mobility, food, education, as yesterday reminded us, logistics and so on, a lot of challenges, but we're going into this direction. The first step is to validate the business model, how we create spaces together, and if they deliver the returns and the impact for everyone involved. That's stage one. Stage two is to have more like team places for families, for different type of audience, because they require different type of facilities. And third stage is to have a proper village, which is for, I would say, minimum 100, 150 people is the minimum which could be sustainable enough to have the facilities we need. Our goal, our vision is to create from empty spaces to create sustainable hospitality projects by involving the people, so empowering the community and the people to support and create them together. Around the world, the niche is not new. In the States, Marriott already bought the biggest companies. They bought postcard cabins, Hilton bought collective retreats, so the niche is kind of proven and is growing really fast. Marriott bought everything in the States, and they said this is outdoor collection. Marriott outdoor collection. In Japan, we have a pretty strong competition. Sano is the biggest company here. They raised more than 110 million USD already, and they are growing pretty fast. And they kind of prove that the thing we want to do already have a roots here, and it can happen. Their goal is to enter Europe in probably 3 years, but still a lot of space here. Big Tiny are the biggest player from Singapore. They are also kind of growing really fast. But Europe is somehow lagging behind. We have some places, but it's not developed enough. So we see opportunity in Japan, we see opportunity in Europe, which could be like Hilton brand for places, for outdoor places, like high quality places with proven standards, design, and places which are more accessible. I already did my research. It's an old slide, but I visited more than 10 countries, more than 50, 60 places in France, Italy, Croatia, Slovenia, Indonesia, Malaysia. I visited a lot of places to see how this works, because it's not kind of new. We already have some examples around the world, and some places are super successful. For example, France has like 9,000 campings and 350 five-star places. So it's not a new thing. Yes, we are adapting it, improving it, but it's not new thing. So I kind of saw how this works in different locations, what are the model, what are the units, what are the challenges. So I'm implementing everything I learned into the project. And very briefly, in general, our journey started 7 years ago when we launched the digital marketplace. I bought my caravan and put it on the seaside. After that, I bought another 3 caravans. So after that, I launched the marketplace, which is a niche Airbnb for outdoor spaces in Bulgaria, specifically in Bulgaria. And along the way, I figured out which are the main problems and what is missing, because the biggest problem is not the booking. Of course, it's challenging, but the biggest problem is the lack of demand, the lack of supply, actually. The lack of supply. A lot of people after COVID want places like this, but they cannot find it because it's difficult, expensive, and regulations and so on to make it work. A lot of countries, especially Central Eastern Europe, I can see that there isn't a lot of this here as well. So currently we already generated close to 1 million in GMV, like revenue through our system in reservations. We work with around 280 owners, 200 separate people with caravan, tiny house, tent, or some type of RV. And we learned that actually most of these people want to have this as a passive investment, not like something they take care of. So that's why we figured out that there is a bigger potential here. And we built the whole model, which is combining premium cabins, some type of fractional ownership, and global access, so everyone can access our network. So that's why we call that we're saying that we're creating new category, because there are examples for everything else, but not something which combines everything as a model. And basically at the moment we have two main, let's say, developed markets. We have nature hospitality across the world. We have, like, I would say 15 companies doing something like this across the world. Most of them in the States, 5 in Japan, and 3 in Europe. And they're doing something quite similar, putting cabins in the nature. It works, most of them are full. It kind of works, but they don't have any community layer, most of them don't have any ownership. So it's centralized, it's the same model like the hotels. Just the difference is that it's not a hotel, it's a cabin. But one person or group of investors is owning everything. The only exclusions here are Sano in Japan, and Big Time, they started doing this as well. Across the whole world, there isn't anyone else empowering this with some type of community layer or co-investments and so on. On the other side, we have, let's say, community pop-ups, projects we already know, like Network School, like HCT and everything else, which has the community layer, but most of the cases they don't have the physical layer. Some of them have. I'm not aware of up to date who owns what today, but in general, it's more about the community, and it's not connecting the two parts in most of the cases. So we're doing the thing which is in between, like making nice places in the nature, but also having the facilities to be more suitable for social events, for groups, and bringing this community layer in terms of opportunity to own something, piece of something, contribute somehow, and be involved in the, let's say, capital gain of these spaces. Our ecosystem have 4 main elements. We have factory building units. In Europe, we're working with factory, and we can build currently 20 units per month, and it can increase to 40 units per month. When I say units, it's fully furnished units ready to deploy, furnished with appliances, smart home, everything ready. Even with we're selling now with guests ready package, which means that they have sheets, they have everything ready for guests. So fully ready units we can cover across Europe for now, and I'm working to make this work in Japan. So far we have some positive feedback from some factories, and 3 other companies already did something like this. So it will be tough, because you know, earthquakes, humidity, and all type of challenges, but it is possible. So the goal is the same, to have these units, which makes the creation of spaces much more efficient, because we don't need people. Yes, we need some people on field, but only minimal work. The second part is the operating system. We have not only marketplace, but we have the whole booking, let's say, operational system in terms of bookings, reservations, property management, loyalty system. We're deploying listings in every OTA, Airbnb booking, direct system, dynamic pricing, which is decided on which condition, what should be the price, upselling, and the whole digital layer is already present. We are using the layer in Bulgaria, and now we are upgrading with loyalty system, how this might work, and every investor have a profile, or co-owner of a cabin has a profile and can see what is the cost, in this month, what is the revenue, what is the cost, what are the some unexpected maintenance or something, and can see, okay, at the end of this quarter I will receive 100K or $100 or something like this. The third part is the ownership. Because we started in Bulgaria and we don't have any access to capital to make places like this, and we were forced to solve the financial challenge. Because we don't have any other opportunity to fund these places, so we created a model where we're funding the resorts through selling the cabins, and this model also gives us the opportunity to stay in control. Because if we sell everything to one investor, one way or another, he may require some things which are not aligned with our vision, sooner or later. And in this case, we are selling the cabin, so it's not like a timeshare, because people are owning the cabin. They own this vehicle. In most of the cases, it's vehicle, because it's easier the short answer. I have a longer, but I'll tell you later. So they own the asset. They can move the asset if they want, or they can sell the asset, but they own it, and we're kind of taking the asset exclusively to manage rent and make everything happen. And we're operating with ambassador in every country. So we already have ambassadors in Romania and Portugal, and the concept is to work with local people, and we're empowering them through our system, branding, units, everything, and we don't need to set up an office. We need to adapt the contracts, we need to adapt the engineering a bit, different countries, different fire regulations, and some other challenges. And besides that, we can operate in different markets without the need to set up local team, and so we can use centralized system, which makes the model much more easy to replicate in different countries. For example, now I'm fundraising, I'll tell the amount, around 500,000, and for half of this money we will open 4 markets. I already have the pieces to make it work, so it makes the whole model much more capital light, as they call it. I told you about the vision. We are going into making new type of villages. I told that it will take 3 to 5 years, but the feedback from the market, at least in Bulgaria, is good, and probably it can happen in the next 2 to 3 years, because there are already some capital and some investments who are ready to work in this, let's say, longer, bigger version. The first one is to validate the business model and to create spaces which are suitable for, I would say, midterm, which means a few weeks. And all these places have different facilities based on, the first location is close to a mineral swimming pool, so it depends the location, but the goal is to be suitable for a few weeks, a bit smaller places, let's say up to 10 to 12 units. The second one, here we have relax and work. The second one is family. This is the biggest, let's say, business opportunity for us at the end of the day. And in Central and Eastern Europe, we are lacking this type of outdoor places where families can go with their kids, and the kids can run around, and they can have a pretty decent unit to stay a longer period of time. In France, UK, Spain, they already have this developed, and they have this in scale. Like 7 million people are visiting this type of, only one, the biggest brand, Central Perks. It's huge, but in Central and Eastern Europe, we're kind of lacking this hybrid as yet. So this is the direction, and the main goal is how we can multiply the usage of digital system, cabins, and community. So they have different implications. It could be next to vineyard, it could be next to swimming pool. We can fit in different scenarios. This is how our units in Bulgaria are looking. We already have clients, even I think that yesterday we have a checkout from guests. So we're already operating this, and we're currently, in September, we'll start producing the next batch. We have new sales, and they will start producing the next cabins. The digital layer have something else, which is every person who owns something can see how much they own, how much they make, and how many free nights they have, because they have ownership and revenue share. For the first project is 80%, so 80% is for the owner, 20% is for us, which is kind of fair, I think. But they also have a free night. So every location, every investment, every quarter of a cabin or a whole cabin gives them free nights. Free nights which next year will be able to access the whole network. So they will be able to use their free nights in Japan, of course with some change. Probably 5 nights in Bulgaria will be 2 nights in Japan or something like this. But in general, they will be able to access the whole network. And basically on the first layer we have hospitality, but on the second we have alternative investment, because it's kind of a good way for people with some capital to diversify their portfolio with something which they can see, they can touch, they can use, they can recommend, and they can somehow, it's more like a lifestyle investment. It won't be S&P, ideally it will be something like this, but it's more like additional benefit and retail investments. Where are we sitting now? These are the main markets, but the model is so light, so a lot of people across Europe want to work somehow with us. It's word of mouth, but already we have 4 projects in development in Bulgaria. One small one, and the next one are much bigger. So we're working with investors and some different people to develop these projects in Bulgaria. We have Hungary, 23,000 square meters, huge land plot, 1 hour and a half from Vienna. Until the end of the year, we will launch sales for Hungary. Japan, we'll see. I will tell you at the end what are the projects here, what is the progress here. Currently, I'm a bit optimistic. I'm more optimistic than I'm supposed to about the market, and I think that it can work. Croatia, we have land plot architect in charge, so pretty nice opportunity as well. Portugal, we have ambassador. She's already 15 years in hospitality. She's kind of selling now what we do and so on. But we need to adapt some of the engineering of the cabins. Probably another 5 countries, like in talks with someone and so on, but nothing that developed. These ones are like ready to launch and to operate in, let's say, 6 months, 6 to 12 months. This is just a slide which presents the other companies on the market. What are they're doing? How many units they have? Only one of these company, okay, 2 of these companies they're funding their growth through selling the cabins. Every other company is funding through investors. These are Sano and Big Tiny, and only one of these, okay, 2 of these companies are operating in Europe. So the opportunity is somehow funding the growth through opportunity and including Europe in the whole thing. And this slide presents how fast they grew in the last 8 years. For how many years? How many units they deployed? The champions are a wonder, but they take a 100 million loan on year after launch, so it's different because they're making premium properties in the States, which is not exactly cabins. So we already have some example. Getaway, Marriott bought them December 2024. They had 1,200 units across the States, the fastest growing, and the other ones are Autocamp. I think Hilton bought them, or at least partially. Big Tiny, Sano, and Myoko, which by the way started in Australia and then entered to UK. And our goal is to make a pretty fast move here because of the model, because we have ambassadors in different countries. Probably we're gonna have one more manufacturing facility in Slovenia, in Central Europe, to deploy across. And if we have one in Japan, it means that we will split the manufacturing in 3 different points. And funding the growth through sales is giving us the opportunity to grow without fundraising a lot. Because currently some of these companies, for example, Rouse, I talked with their investors in Australia, they also have a bottleneck because they cannot fundraise another 50 million to make cabins. So our model is kind of competitive enough. I can tell you much more what I believe we can reach. 823 cabins for the next 5 years across everywhere. And yeah, that's the short story, that we can become the first company which is doing this in Asia and Europe. Currently the companies are either only in the States, only in Japan, or only in Europe. Kind of one of the first company combining the both worlds, if it makes it happen. You'll see this slide later. This is presenting based on what we are estimating the valuation of the company and how this can grow. Currently we are fundraising at 5 million, which is the valuation of the whole company, including the marketplace. We are on track to cross 1 million in sales till the end of the year. So I think that the multiple is 5, it's not like 500, so I think that it's pretty fair. And how we can growing the ecosystem. The biggest company in Japan, currently there isn't any official numbers, but based on the rounds and how many percent they diluted, their valuation is around 160. So Sano is valued at 160 for Japan only, of course a lot of places, but they operate only in Japan. So it's ambitious, but still achievable, I believe. Currently we're fundraising 700K for all markets, which is Hungary, Croatia, Portugal and Japan. To make this work, to adapt the product, to adapt the legal framework for every country, to develop new product, because we want to create a hybrid tent, which is kind of suitable for other type of locations and kind of efficient from business perspective. And so, yeah, here is the split between team and so on. approximately 20%, around between 20 and 30% for Japan, if everything goes well, which means around 150K for Japan. I believe that will be totally enough to set up the company and so on. And 200 or 220 are already committed. There's a lot of interest, even though I didn't share this a lot, but currently we're talking with people in UK, Hungary and Switzerland who are interested to join around. But for me it's kind of important what people are on board, because I'm not aiming to make $1 billion company, and for me it's important if these people bring some value first outside the investment, and if these people really understand this place and go, because it's not classical real estate play, it's not software play, and there's something else. And something else, but 50% of the people, even more, when they come to us, we have a showroom in front of one of the biggest shopping center in Sofia, and they said, I have a dream, which is kind of nice because most of the people are dreaming for this place in the nature. We are saying, yeah, sure, we will take care of this. Just like, of course, it has a cost, but we'll take care. You don't need to spend a lot of time to make it work. We have a solution. So the people should understand that it's a community-driven growth. It's not only investor-driven. So we don't want to take like 10 million because after this round, we will be almost at break-even next year, and we're making already sales. We don't need like another 5 million or something. We have different tickets. Very shortly, for most of the people, we're seeing 25K, 75, 250, just opening the round for people who want to invest less, let's say small amount of money. Currently we have around 18 investors on board, and we fundraise from 18 people, 150K. So they invest a pretty small amount, but because the concept is that our legal framework is giving us the opportunity to basically operate without like asking everyone for everything. It's not exactly governance, but it gives us the opportunity to, because at the end of the day, I'm committing this vision and I want to be able to execute it. If someone with experience wants to be on board, sure, we will discuss how this can happen really. But if people don't understand this, I don't want to receive even feedback from them, because probably I know more from some of the people. So we are entering, these are the, let's say, the main tickets. And every one of our investors receive priority access to all locations. So they understand about new locations, investment, land plots, and so before we made this public. They have some discount on the units, and they have free nights. So every tier receives some type of free nights, even if they don't own any cabin, just giving a free night in order to understand what we're doing, to test it, to recommend it, and so on. So this is the biggest challenge for now, because we kind of have a lot of, you know that in the board games you're just collecting different resources. We kind of got a lot of resources now, but we're missing the water, just for example, because we started from market where there is no such capital for something like this. So currently the capital is one of the main bottlenecks for us. I won't talk a lot for the team, but my co-founder have 15 years in vacation property management in Las Vegas, London, Canada, I think. So he managed like 200, 300 different vacation rentals at the same time on all platforms. So he's responsible for the dirty work like property management, facility management, clients relations, and so on, which is a big challenge. We have an innovative model for the food. It's a long topic, but it's a challenge, and we have solution how we can make the food work without having a restaurant, because this is a totally different business, and we don't want to be involved a lot. And currently we're working, let's say, branch of architects for different, we have product architects, we have project architects, so we work with probably around 6 or 7 architects for different opportunities. None of them is in-house because we're kind of testing to see how we're gonna make this product work. On the next stage, probably we're gonna have some, and we have pretty nice person for Japan. I will tell you later. Events, branding, community growth, advertising. Also, we have this in mind. Bunch of advisors and people for different countries. For example, for Japan, currently we're talking with Brandon, we're talking with Seiko, talking with Rio. So we'll see how this might work. what is the difference with, say, let's say, other network-based projects? For example, some in Malaysia, they are in Kazakhstan now. Well, the biggest challenge, the biggest difference is that we're not just selling some knives. We are selling the knives, but this is the flywheel for the whole model to work. But at the end of the day, we have people have access to own something which can make them some type of profit, so they can somehow share they have a portion of the revenue. People have an option to own a real piece of the company, so they can have they can be part of the growth and to earn somehow of this. These are the main things. We're not that strong on community level, on the community, and we will develop this step by step. But for me, the most important is the legal framework, the financial work, to be able to develop places. We need foundation. On the foundation, it's pretty easy to have a zoo village or different type of places like a guest, because it's more like just a marketing strategy, and it's connected to the design of the social spaces, but it's not the main business. First, we need to have a good business model, and pretty much that's the whole thing for the 32 minutes. Okay, almost in time. This is the whole thing, Nextribe global story. Japan is part of it. I just wanted to, because all of you know something, probably not the whole story, but this is the whole story. And yeah, it's open. You can open new markets. You can contribute somehow. This is the main thing behind, like 5 years in development. And how much time we have?
I've got to go. Just a really couple questions before
Yes.
I go.
Well, first of all, that's a fucking amazing presentation. That's really, wow!
And a beautiful piece of work. You mentioned capital gain in investors. You're talking about people who invest in the company.
Yeah.
Right. And who are currently of the places you have around, who owns the land?
Good question. Good question. In some of the places, the land is rented.
Right.
For 10 years in Bulgaria. It could be for 20. It will be for 20 in Hungary.
Right.
So it could be rented. For some of the projects in Bulgaria, we work with investors. So they own the land, and they are funding the units, and we are managing and operate this under our brand. And there's also hybrid scenario where someone is buying the land and giving us the land. So let's say that we are flexible here. If the owner of the land is on board with, let's say, lock the land for 20 years, it can work for us. So it's kind of flexible here.
And you got like pretty rock solid agreements.
Yes. Yeah.
Really great. I would stay longer and ask more questions. I think it's fantastic. Sorry.
Thank you. All right. So let's have a short story. Tony, can you check if we're still recording?
Yeah, you are. You're still
Recording?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, Japan. Huge challenge. It's my vacation here to stop thinking about Europe and everything which is like waiting for me there, one way or another. And my goal was to open the market for 30 days. So to make as much progress as it's possible for 30 days, which is almost impossible because 10 of these days are like a national holiday, it's August, but it's kind of a test of the market. If I can make a progress in 2 weeks in August, it may make sense. Because when I go back to Europe, I cannot spend time for a market which don't have any, let's say, first points of some validation. I need to focus on the things which already make have more impact. Current problems, and we are addressing to solve. This is important one. Currently in Japan, 0.7% of the people own second home. 0.7. In the States, it's 6%. In Sweden, it's 15%. Across the world is around, let's say, between 6 and 10. Percent of the people who own second home. According to last surveys in Japan, more than 70-something% want to have some type of asset in the nature, which means 40 million people. We cannot work with 40 million people, but even 0.001% of these people is a lot of people, which means that we are not afraid of a lot of other companies on the market. There is a market for everyone who makes good product, and have the trust. So a huge market, even excluding the expats and everyone across the world. Just the Japanese, 2.5 millionaires or something like this. Market is big enough. On the other hand, we have 9 million empty homes, IKEAs and so on, which is kind of making a good awareness of the country and opportunities around the world. But most of these are difficult to handle. A lot of regulations, insulation, earthquake requirements. So it's almost impossible to make a business unit from just buying IKEA from Europe and operating this in Japan. Yes, it is possible. But people who made it, I'm betting that there are less than 100 people. So it's kind of difficult. It looks like a lot of opportunities, but it's kind of difficult. And we can give them a complete solution. 40 million, more than 40 million visitors in 3 cities. So the whole tourism is pretty centralized. And even the government is starting to make some programs which are incentivizing company organizations to bring people outside the biggest cities, which could be beneficial somehow in the midterm, I would say. What we achieved, 3 weeks, maybe less than 3 weeks. We have an architect on board, which is Horito Kobayashi. The architect for Japan is super crucial. We need very good architect. We cannot just work with architect. We need good name, with reputation and so on. I work with architect in Japan. I approach this different ways, but I work with German architect, and she's bringing with Bulgarian roots, and she's bringing Japanese architect on board because we need this in terms of a lot of things. So we kind of already made one conversation, so I'm pretty positive that he will be on board. And when we have person with 20 plus years in architecture, I believe we will make it work somehow. Because it's not just about the idea, about the design. About the team, I started with one person calling the listings. Now she resigned, and I have another 2 people now. And currently 2 women are handling listings, every day calling new listings and priority listings and so on. We talk with 25 listings already. And we have another person establishing connection with manufacturing companies, start the conversation, setting up some meetings and so on. And I posted a job for CEO and market entry for Japan. I wasn't expecting something big, but already 3 people applied. I would say that they are kind of a good fit. So I'll just continue this because if we manage to fundraise, directly I need someone to be in charge. We need local person, I won't lie, and I won't be able to be here all the time. Length, yeah, cold lot, manufacturing, some positive feedback from some, but it's just 2 weeks and it's pretty difficult with the manufacturing. Some partnership, one of the real estate agency, which is behind one of the biggest listing website for IKEAs and so on, proposed to become like a strategic partner who can handle the whole administration stuff behind the real estate properties, feasibility studies we have here, development companies to coordinate the whole process. And also today we had a pretty nice meeting with Seiko and Rio, and Seiko mentioned that actually his previous employer was a manufacturing company, construction company, and he has some connections which might be helpful to make it work. So yeah, so far this is the progress for these months. What makes our concept competitive for Japan especially? The co-funded model, which means that we need like 150 to 200K, we don't need 5 million or something, which makes it easier. Social by design, almost none of these companies which are already operating this have a social places. They are focused on perfect unit, some sauna, some cold plunge, but you go there with your girlfriend or your kids and you stay alone. They don't have facilities like this. Some of the biggest hotels have, but it's kind of missing element on the market. Network that really works. So from one side we have playbook from Europe, from another side people will access European and Asian places, which is competitive and be built for foreign owners. So we will be suitable for people across the world to buy a unit or fractional unit and to have it here because someone else will take care of everything. Shortly, goals for the next 3 to 6 months. I will tell you just the 3 months. You need to find a land plot, to establish the legal entity, to hire a CEO, and select manufacturing partner, and trademark. We need to make all trademarks, branding stuff, and so on for the next 3 months. Of course, if you manage to make the fundraise. If we don't make the fundraise, I cannot fund by my own capital currently. But I believe that we will make it. We will make investment work in the next months. In general, 12 months to launch the first location. I think that it's feasible, but it will require work. We know how to do it, so I would say that 12 to 18 maximum is pretty feasible. They have administration and requirements, which takes time. But I'm coming from Bulgaria. It's pretty tough in Bulgaria. So I'm not afraid from Japan, even though everyone's trying to somehow discourage me. Currently, we don't have a specific number for the cabins, and we made assumptions based on everything on the market, who is selling what is the materials, and everything we gather. So the current estimate is around 95k for the cabin with everything, which is around 75 cabin. 75 is the cabin, and another 20 is the infrastructure, shared spaces, share, and so on. So the goal is to be under 100k, but something around this, I think that is feasible. More or less, let's say 10% up or down. The estimated net return on investment, also we completed the whole business plan, how can work here based on their taxes and so on. 13 to 60%, which is around 14k per year, plus 24 nights a year, which means that the return plus nights which are not calculated here, and this is how it works in different scenarios. The hypothesis is 40, 50, 60, because we prefer to estimate to have a lower forecast and saying it could be 11%. And not like pretend that it could be 19. Yeah, it could be 25, but it's better to have a lower expectations, because our goal is not to make the people to invest as an alternative because they will make a lot of money. They won't. It's a different type of investment. So we have 3 scenarios. Currently, some of our competitors are already above 60. Earthbolt is 75 or something, but we're assuming somewhere in between, especially for the first years, which means 13 to 16. 13 to 16 because the prices are going up every year, so we assume that we will have a small increase of the revenue, a bit bigger than the increase of the cost of the OPEX. OPEX is for 55% here in general, so the whole cost to operate the resort is excluded. Our fees and so on are excluded, and these are net returns. So in this case 11, 13, 13, 16 and 16, 18. If we add the free nights, which are calculated on usually 25% discount. So if you're selling on 240 dollars per night, the owner's nights are calculated based on 180, and 40 nights are another, let's say, 8k per year roughly. So the total, if you combine both these things, is around 20, 25 roughly. In order to make this happen, our step is to open like a priority list for the first 10 cabins. Currently we're working with this hypothesis that there will be 10. I hope that in the next weeks we will be able to like shortlist the land plots to 3 and to see their size. This is crucial. And we're opening the spots for 5k deposit. And it's not exactly a deposit, but something like this. So 5k, hold the price, hold the slot, and if we don't deliver in the next 12 months, we're gonna switch this 5k in equity, because that's something we have and something we can give. If in the worst case scenario something happens, we cannot deliver, or something goes wrong, or there's something happen, we can back up this way. And yeah, we will, for the people who are part of this, let's say, priority list or group, we will consult with them the design, because it's not finalized. I can show you some things which are in development, but it's not ready. So in general, the way to interact with Nextribe we have 3 ways: to own a cabin or a fraction of a cabin, to invest in a company, as I presented earlier, and to bring the site or the capital. Some people are bringing land, some people are bringing, let's say, capital for resort, let's say, bring something to make it work.
That's last slide.
Yes, that's last slide, but I will show
It's
you.
amazing.
Yes, sir. I love it.
Where should I review? Maybe? Yes, I will show you this one as well. Our architect, our German architect, made kind of, I would say that it's idea stage based on what we need to have as design, more like look and feel of these places to be able to position them in this space where we want to be. And this is based on some sketches, some research. She spent like a decent amount of time in Japan as well, so she know, yeah, they're not loading, but we have 3 or 4 different type of houses, like a different size and a bit different function. Everyone.
Could you send this?
Yes, yes, I will. Yeah, you cannot see, but we have design and we have floor plan. So all visualizations are made with AI, but they are based on specific floor plan, which is adapted floor plan based on what's needed in Japan. So the floor plan should work for Japanese, but also should work for foreigners. So we adapted the both system, and part of the designs are white. They could be on wheels, and a few bigger ones could be bigger.
Okay, so you're kind of answering a question I was gonna ask, which is you do plan to then sell, obviously not just one model of the cabins, but you're gonna have
Yeah, a few.
very small one and then one that's like, you know,
Yeah.
going up to like one very big one that's like just a lot more expensive. Okay, good.
Well, the internet here is not on our side, but I will send the link.
Please.
Yeah, that's the goal, because ideally we need to have one unit which is for 4 people, which is 2 plus 2. We need smaller and bigger as well in order to fit for more people.
And so that base price of around 95K would be for the smallest one?
Yeah, for 4 people, 2
Okay.
plus 2.
And do you have anticipation for what your biggest one will kind of cost?
Not yet.
Not yet.
No,
Okay.
I just need more
More
time.
data? Yeah, sure, no problem.
Yeah, these are pretty nice visualizations.
So you would be able to do that without the fundraise that you're doing on the site, because you can have people investing in this directly.
It won't happen without any investment, because in order to sell, I need contracts. I need some. I mean, it's more or less I have minimum. Without the minimum, I cannot make it like from legal perspective, from branding, marketing perspective to be sufficient enough. And yeah, so there's a minimum, but I think that we're gonna cover it because we already have like some money committed. So I think we're gonna make it work somehow. And also, yeah.
You mentioned initially that part of the philosophy is to integrate the local community, and of
Yeah.
course we're having a lot of conversations here, but that's one of the biggest problems anywhere you go. How does it look like in different parts of the world to include the local community?
I can tell you how it looks from here, because I spent some time to see how this can work and what is the missing element. Currently, the thing I'm working as a concept is to make, before launch our own space, to make a midterm workation, how to say, digital platform in order to bring more people here for midterm, for low season. Because they kind of develop the infrastructure, but they're missing the whole marketing, sales, packaging, and so the whole thing. And it's kind of difficult for them in general. So I already talked with Marcus for his house, and he can bring some other people. I will meet Bill as well. So the goal is to make a middle layer, which is bringing people here in the low season and validating if they will come, how much it will cost, if they're gonna be families or not, what type of people we can bring. So
And is the hypothesis that by bringing people off season, that will help the local community because it keeps the economic flow not just in high like ski season,
yes,
but
something
also
like
in
this.
off season?
Something like this, yeah. To bring something before asking for.
So like the local bakery can also stay open the full
Exactly,
year
exactly.
and not just need to
We
die
can
in
include
winter.
Rick, who is making the tours on the land, on the lake.
Okay.
The women who are cooking, just to involve them in some model, bringing like an MVP of if it can work or not. At least for now.
Yeah, no,
I need to talk with Bill again for more details, but this is where we sit now. How it works in different countries, more or less, this is the main model. Where even before we select the location, we are mapping what we have here. What type of activities and programs are already present, and what could be developed, and what are the events we can make in order to bring more people, like with our concept, know-how, team, and so on. These are the main three elements.
Yeah, it's a win-win.
Yeah.
Because then you need less infrastructure for yourself. You can
Mm.
just use the infra that is here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then
Yeah. For example, with the food, we are mapping what is available, and people during the even on the when they make reservation, they can choose if they want a bucket with fresh meat. They can cook on the barbecue or cheese or something which is like locally produced.
That's awesome.
So yeah, place things like this, more like a salad.
Like locally
Kids.
sourced
Yeah.
experiences and produce.
Yeah, but also someone who can deliver it with the right quality, quantity,
Right. Right.
temperature, and so on. So something like this.
It's an awesome business model. I mean,
Yeah, now
Love
we
it.
go.
Love it.
What do
If
you
I, if
say?
I had $2 million, I would
What
give
do
it
you
to you
say?
right now. For
yeah,
real.
I already like heard what you were doing last year, I think in NS,
Mm.
but like I think now you're really capturing, like, especially in half an hour presentation,
Mm.
you really communicated incredibly well, like the vision, the business model, how you're taking it, where you are, the market, where it is today. It's a very comprehensive explanation. That was like really good.
what's crazy is that you figured it out in the 20 months.
What do you mean?
Like the talks in the common area didn't bring that to people.
I still don't understand.
That you didn't speak about that before.
About this?
Yeah.
I didn't? Or he didn't?
You guys, it's really fun to see.
No, I know Nick for a while. I know what he's working
We
on.
met in
but-
NS.
Yeah.
in November.
But just like putting myself like outside of what I know already from the project,
Yeah.
from like, oh, I don't know anything. Half an hour, I know a lot.
Yeah.
Like, if I want to invest, I want to be part of that. You really nailed it. Like,
Mm.
use that everywhere you go from now on. That's like a perfect thing. Incredible.
Right.
I just need to find people to present it from.
Yeah, but that we'll take care of it.
But your vision is really clear. Like we can see that you're aligned on everything. So.
Yeah.
Well, it took a while. It took a while, at least before Japan, the last 6 months or 4 months, it was like 14 hours a day in order to reach this point. So it's
I
been-
clearly see an evolution from like the clarity that you already had in NS last year from
Yeah,
where you are right now.
I think so.
It's like
Mm.
impressive.
Because back then we didn't have other markets, we didn't have manufacturing, so it was more
Yeah,
like
now it's
concept.
a real solid thing that is perfectly clear.
Wait,
Mm.
when were you in MS?
November.
You didn't have manufacturing at that point. Well, okay, so it's kind of.
We were between manufacturing. We are on the verge to sign with Slovenia, and at this time we figured out we can make it in Bulgaria at this point.
Okay.
And in NS I was working to manage to make the manufacturing in Malaysia. And actually I had the team on standby with know-how, engineering, and based in Malaysia.
Yeah.
But just other factors.
Now you can go to Kazakhstan and try again.
Mm. No. I think Japan is a pretty nice opportunity.
I think it's a great opportunity.
So it's
Also, if you get like manufacturing going here, you're
mm,
having Japanese carpenters and these sort of people working on these cabins. They're gonna be the best shit you ever seen in your life. Which people know, people are very much aware of the quality of the
Mm.
craftsmanship of Japanese people, and that on its own brings so much higher value. You know.
Yeah, there is a
Yeah.
premium if you say like manufacturing in Japan, like
Yeah,
Just
that's
the
like
aesthetics.
top
Yeah,
tier.
yeah,
top
everyone loves
tier.
it.
designed by a Japanese architect. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the previous plan was to work with Malaysian manufacturing, but when I go deeper into regulations and materials and so on, I was like, no way. I mean, I don't think that they will even allow to bring here cabin made in Malaysia.
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
Yeah.
I
And the
think
conditions-
Japanese might be expensive though.
Yeah.
here it will be more expensive for sure.
Yeah.
But
Why
I-
they won't allow to bring cabin from Malaysia?
Well, it's not about
Regulations.
not
It doesn't hold in
exactly.
winter.
Yeah, regulations.
It's not exactly about if they're gonna allow it or not, but If it's made from Japan, it will be more easier from regulatory perspective regarding all certificates, requirements, the local community. If we are producing in Japan and if we're exporting from someone else, this is the difference between the foreigners and us, the locals.
I think you're doing the right thing.
So this is the thing. If someone can finish up the floor or something here in this area, it makes the model more efficient. That's why first I was thinking that yes, I need a big manufacturing somewhere and ship across the world, but I don't see this as possible. Even though now we're negotiating for Portugal, and the shipping from Bulgaria to Portugal is around 12K, which is a lot. So it makes sense to have more like a regional, at least for Europe. We cannot have in every country, but like a regional.
It's harder for logistics, but probably overall is better.
Yeah.
Impressive, man.
Amazing.
Have you considered the Australian market?
What?
Have you considered doing this in Australia?
Yeah, Australia is probably one of the most developed as well. Probably Australia and Japan are super developed. It is possible. Every new market for me is the matter of finding the right partner, because I don't have the capacity to like full scale enter into one market. But like for Portugal, I don't even visit Portugal. Just the woman was so good fit that she just started to do it. So if you have someone who has like local hospitality experience with managing projects, working with real estate people and connecting the dots somehow, it can totally work. It's not that difficult.
So do you